I wanted to start by saying this. When the economy is rattled with interest rate hikes and inflation, financial volatility, we got war breaking out all over the world, political instability, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to stay in a good place. And it's really easy to fall victim to worry, doubt, and concern. And I will say that letting those negative states of mind influence how you manage your business day in and day out, I don't have to tell you that that is a huge mistake, huge mistake. And so stress and anxiety and fears about getting more business, this is the stuff that keeps you up at night. And it doesn't have to be the norm. It doesn't have to be. But rest assured, for most people, it's going to be the norm in this next market cycle. And so the economic house of cards is starting to fall. And when the tide goes out, we're going to see who's standing there with no shorts on. And we're going to see who has the mental, emotional, spiritual fortitude, the energy, the enthusiasm to think differently, to change their approach, to succeed when everybody else is failing, because there's going to be a lot of that going on. And so today, I propose that you can deploy a set of tactics and techniques that have the power to produce exponential results in a faltering economy. And that's the power to ease your financial fears, the power to get into a flow state, and then the power to get into action when everybody else is paralyzed. And I'm going to walk you through step by step my proven process for three things. One, I want to leverage your existing network so you can thrive in any economy. And this is a tactic that we use in my Mental Journey to Millions membership all the time. This is one of our main things we're going to do today. Plus, we want to mine connections in your network for golden opportunities and foster relationships that lead to lucrative deals. We want to start setting the stage for a business that is resilient and can stand the test of time. And then finally, I want to help you to develop an eagle eye for opportunities. And I just want you to know there's probably a ton of opportunities right now in your world that other people are overlooking. You're probably overlooking them. Opportunities that could be the key to building a robust business that is immune to the market upheavals. And so this is my promise to you. You can generate more revenue, you can make more sales, and you can get more clients in the next 90 days using my proven mental model. And all there is to do is to shift your thinking. So I'm not going to hold back. I'm not holding back on this training at all. This training is whole and complete all by itself. There's nothing else for you to buy. And of course, I'll give you additional opportunities to work with me, but they're not required to get the results that I promise. So let me give you a quick and dirty on who I am so you kind of get a sense of it, and then let's jump in. For nearly 3 decades, I've been a salesperson, a sales trainer, an entrepreneur, an investor, a spiritual teacher. In fact, in 1991, I created the Drunk Monkey, and that character became ubiquitous in the real estate industry, helping tens of thousands of people to get some relief from the nagging self-talk that robs us from our peace and our prosperity. I'm also the creator of something called the Rapid Enlightenment Process. It's a methodology that I have been working on. It has been peer-reviewed and published in the Journal for Advanced Social Sciences, as well as presented, peer-reviewed again actually, and presented at Pepperdine University's 6th Annual World Conference on Social Sciences. In other words, the things that I'm going to tell you about are not just something that I just made it up and I think it sounds good. I did make it up, but I made it up working with tens of thousands of people like you. Then I systemized it. Then I experimented with it. Then I boiled it down. Then I had it peer-reviewed and published in a journal. So I also co-founded a nonprofit called the Center for Rapid Enlightenment with my wife and business partner, Kristen. And our mission is to help people to experience rapid enlightenment, which is essentially quieting down the negative chatter so you can be at peace and you can live a life of joy and meaning. Now, I've written a couple of best-selling books. You may have read 1 or 2 of them, Creating Sales Velocity and Quiet Mind, Epic Life. And I get invited to speak to the media all the time about how do you quiet your mind and get back to peace and joy so you can really live a life of enlightened prosperity. That's the way we like to say it. And Jack was mentioning this, but, just for fun, I like to produce and write music. And I've even written a Billboard charting song. I've created an album that is called Energy Affirmations. It grossed 7 figures. I'm not saying that to brag, but my goal is to inspire you to wake up and start dreaming again. And I want to help you to find a way to do what you love, to make the money that you want to make, to live an epic life. And I will tell you, real estate is a phenomenal way to do that. And you should know that I am a 4th-generation personal development teacher. My lineage starts all the way back with a man named Napoleon Hill, who wrote a very famous book called Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill inspired a man named Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale mentored a man named Mike Ferry, and Mike Ferry is my father. He's a legendary real estate sales trainer and coach. My brother Tom and I and my father, we actually together built a business and scaled it from $1 million a year to $40 million a year. Then my brother left, started a company. I think my brother's company is probably even bigger than my dad's now. I don't really know. But what you should know is since 1993, I've personally coached tens of thousands of salespeople. Business leaders, entrepreneurs, Wall Street executives, venture capitalists, investors, one-on-one. I've even coached some gold medalists and Grammy Award winners. Last year, my private coaching clients, just the people that I'm coaching, I just have a handful of people. They made over $77 million in personal income. And over the years, my financial services clients have been responsible for managing billions of dollars in assets and capital. And my entrepreneur and my sales clients have made billions of dollars in sales. So a lot of B's going on. In fact, these days I am an advisor to a couple of B's. I advise a couple of billionaires on Wall Street. So I'm the go-to guy for a handful of the most successful people in America. And I will tell you that after decades of client work, I've decided to organize everything into a masterful system and bring it to the world. And the techniques that we're talking about today are coming from this. I'm having one of the best times of my life right now. I'm leading a group of real estate agents, team leaders, investors, flippers, and entrepreneurs, and it's called The Mental Journey to Millions. And I'm teaching them my proven process to live the good life without the grind. And that's why Jack has brought me on today. He brought me on because he's starting to experience less grind, and he's saying, this is so exciting, and you start to feel the productivity and the power. Like he's only been doing it for about a month or so, but boy, oh boy, is it making a difference. So enough about me. Let's get going, okay? I've been doing this a long time, and I'm coming out of my lab. My work has now been scientifically validated. It's time for me to bring it to the world, so I'm bringing it to you, okay? So before we get too deep into this, I just want you to know that I have this killer new report for you and video for you to help you to get more clients and make more money and to do it without the grind. And I think Jack or Trevor or maybe both are going to put it in the chat for you, put the link in there. I would love for you to read this report, watch the video that I've made for you, and then if you're inspired, set up some time for us to talk about maybe helping you do the same thing. So agents make the same mistake that everybody makes, and that is they believe that grinding is the only way to succeed. And after working with thousands of people just like you, I can tell you that grinding, grit, and hard work are not required. They're common, but they're not required. And I'm going to talk about what you could do differently. So if you're feeling burned out by the grind of the day-to-day business, staffing problems, working with unreasonable clients, like feeling the pressure to get more clients, it almost always boils down to your mindset and the people in your life. Would you just give me a wave if you are experiencing any kind of burnout and grind and pain in the ass and pressure? Anybody here experiencing that in the real estate industry these days? It comes down to 2 things: mindset and people. Mindset and people. Your opportunity set, like what you get to do, the opportunities that you have in life are determined by your mindset and the people you associate with, period. If you have scarcity mindset running, you don't see opportunities. You don't take action because you think you're going to fail before you even start. Mindset, mindset, mindset. And if you're associating with the wrong people, you get dragged down by them. You get distracted. You waste your time and you're trying to like uplift the downtrodden, or you're wasting your time trying to save people, or you're wasting your time getting involved in their negativity. People, people, people. Mindset and people. Now, real estate and sales does not have to feel hard or stressful. It doesn't have to. But your mindset and the people that you have in your life will make it that way. Now, you should know I am a very big fan of working hard. So don't get me wrong here. I am a realist. But with the right mindset and the right people in your life, you can find a way to work smart, to create leverage, and then to create exponential results. That's what I'm all about. I want you to work less. I want you to make more. Working smart can produce 3 times the results for the same effort, 10 times, 20 times the same result. Same effort, 20 times the result. I have a client, he's a billionaire. He's not doing more than you. He just has more leverage than you have. He has better systems than you have. So if you don't get out of the box, if you don't look around, if you don't expose yourself to new, different, unusual, creative solutions to making sales, then you're going to get stuck in the grind. Now, you probably remember that my clients tend to be entrepreneurs in real estate, but also fintech and Wall Street. And I will say that my fintech and Wall Street clients are really shy. They're very private. So when I share about them, I always change their names, and I will share about a couple of them here. But my real estate clients, my real estate entrepreneurs and investors and whatnot, they tend to be more public facing, and they let me share their stories publicly. And so I want to share one of those with you right now. I want to give you an example. Johnny, he was a self-proclaimed zombiepreneur. Like when we met last year, I think we met in October, he was just going through the motions. And he was feeling apathy. He was feeling a little hopeless. He was doing 2 deals a month, which is great, but he was having troubles getting out of bed because he didn't see a future for himself. There wasn't anything he was excited about. And so the people in his life were a drag on his energy, and his mindset was in the toilet. Now, Johnny did something that I call the stress-free income accelerator. That's something that Jack is doing right now, which is essentially 30, 15-minute lessons that I developed that rapidly transform an agent's life and business. And in that process, Johnny came alive. He shifted his relationship to the people in his life. He changed his mindset about himself and his future and what was possible. And right when the real estate market was starting to fall apart in December, at the end of last year, and it was December, right? Like two negatives going against him. Right at that moment, just 6 weeks into making these changes, he had the biggest month of his sales career. He did 10 deals in December. No new sales tactics, no new systems, no new structures, no new procedures, no new processes, no new lead sources, no nothing. Johnny built market immunity for himself. And today I want to get you on that similar path. So let's just think about it in this way. In these turbulent times that we're in right now, creativity, thinking outside of the box, taking risks, changing your approach, those are the only things that are going to save salespeople, real estate agents, investors, entrepreneurs. Economic hardship it's here already. And it's going to get more and more and more and more. It's going to get more intense. And like it or not, your peace, your flow, and your well-being are going to be your greatest assets. Because when you're accountable for generating business, you are the product. So if you suck, your business sucks. If your mind isn't right, if you're complaining and moaning or feeling angry or depressed or frustrated, you make bad decisions. You say the wrong thing. You forget to do what you know to do to make the sales that you want to make. So how do you get the business into this easy, effortless, enjoyable, flowing state? Less grind, more flow. Less stress, more peace. Well, the answer is we're going to do 3 things, and I'm going to share these 3 things with you today. First, we're going to optimize your prosperity network. Then we're going to talk about expanding your prosperity network. And then third, we're going to talk about taking greater risks. The world is changing. And you better be ahead of the curve. And your fears will slow you down. So let's talk about how to get better at placing bets on new lead sources, new opportunities, new systems, new ways of making money. You can connect to cash and you can start building market immunity through something called a prosperity network. So what is a prosperity network? Well, everything that you want and everything that you need to create success, to create money, to create opportunities, to create cash flow, living the good life without the grind. That's how we say it. Everything that you need is actually already in your network of friends, past clients, family members, associates, and mentors. But you got to know how to harvest that. And I call that group your prosperity network. Now, your level of prosperity and success is a function of two things. It's a function of how people know you, and so it's a function of the people you know and how people know you, right? So I've got that one mixed up in my head. It's the people you know and then how they know you. Like that, your level of prosperity and success are tied to that. And your level of prosperity and success is a function of the people that you know, period, and then how they know you. So you belong to a network of people and conversations that contains incredible potential for money and prosperity and deal flow, like incredible. And I know that your brain may not be able to connect those dots right now, but there's something you should know. Like if you can think of it, then it already exists in your network. If you could think of a goal or a dream, then it already exists in your network. That should hopefully give you some optimism, but we'll see if we can crank it up even more. It does cut both ways though, right? Because the people in your life could also be limiting you and keeping you from tapping into the opportunities, the deal flow, the listings, the sales. Now, unfortunately, you can only do what your network expects of you. So if you're known for selling real estate, it'll be very difficult to become known as a real estate investor, for example, who can raise money and get people to say yes to putting their money into an investment. But if that's your dream, your prosperity network is the place to make that dream come true. Now, the people who are in our Mental Journey to Millions mastermind group are making moves like this all the time, and they're doing it by leveraging their prosperity network. And you can do the same thing. So do me a favor. Will you write down your big goal that you'd like to achieve this year? Will you just write it down for me, please? Write down your big goal. And then do me a favor and think about this question. Like, do you have a network of people around you who can make that big goal happen? Now, again, I'm just going to tell you the good news. Like, after coaching high performers like you for the last 30 years, I have found that if you can conceptualize the goal, like if you can think of the goal, which you just did and you wrote it down, then it means it's already somewhere in your network. We just have to go find it. And I want to give you a process to make that happen. But new income streams, new lead sources, new ideas, new information, new connections, new resources that'll radically change your life, they're all in there somewhere. Let me give you an example that's like completely out of the box, right? But it'll kind of help you follow along of what is possible with this process. So Deanna Lee was a normal Utah real estate agent, slugging it out 6 days a week, grinding and forcing for every deal that she was doing. She was doing about 2 deals a month. And truth is, when we met, her mindset was in the dumps. She was heartbroken that somebody else was raising her kid. She was heartbroken that she was working so hard. She had dreamed about one day having enough passive income to travel the world and host wellness retreats. That was her dream. But that dream felt like it would never, ever, ever happen, right? I mean, she was literally grinding it out every day, trying to make money. Right? When was she going to do all that? And so you can imagine going from realtor to the dream of, having properties around the world and traveling for a living and hosting wellness retreats. Like that's a crazy stretch. Yet by optimizing her prosperity network, she learned about raising money, financing, property management. She started buying Airbnb properties around the world, raising capital and using creative financing. And today she has 13 properties around the world, and she owns 2 resorts. Now, today she spends her time raising her son, but she gets paid to travel to these exotic locations around the world, and she's living on her passive income. Now, that's a radical example of what is possible when you optimize your prosperity network. So what you're known for is either a trap or it's an accelerator. And Deanna had to change the narrative about who she was in the eyes of the people around her. And when she did that, the opportunity vortex opened up. In fact, just recently I was chatting with a guy who owns a private jet charter company, and I immediately introduced him to Deanna because his luxury travel clients might want to rent out her resort for private events. But that's how I know Deanna now, because she did the work. And so she gets those kinds of opportunities coming her way because they're in alignment with what she has put into her network. So will you just write down what you're known for in your prosperity network right now? Like, how do people know you? What can you be counted on for? And it's pretty easy to figure out. It's easy to figure out because you just look at the types of opportunities that you're getting right now. So all opportunities reside within your network, and they reside within a network of conversations that you're engaged in. So your opportunity set is literally the mindset that you have and the people that you associate with. And so I just want to remind you that I've got a new report and a new video that are going to show you my guaranteed system for you to make more, to work less, to live the good life without the grind. And I'd love for you to click on the link that is getting thrown into the chat either by Trevor or by Jack, maybe both. And if this speaks to you, if you read the report and you watch the video and you're like, yes, this is for me, then maybe stick some time on the calendar and let's just talk through how we might be of service to you. So let's talk about how you optimize your prosperity network. Okay? You do that using a methodology that I called Prosperity Network Dynamics. Now, I want to tell you the story of two men. And I have two clients who have both asked to remain anonymous, but they said that I could share their story. And both of them are doing what it takes to be successful. They're both actually really successful. Bob has had to fight and struggle for everything. He had to grind it out to achieve the success that he has. Whereas John has had this sort of graceful ascent to levels of success that most of us aspire to. I mean, he really made it look easy. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, what's the difference here? Because I coach both of these men, and, you know, they're both Ivy League, educated guys. They both came up the ranks in their industry. They're in financial services. They're on similar paths. In fact, they were even they work for the same, guy who trained them. And if you ask anyone who knows these two guys, they're all going to say, like, amazing, awesome, incredible. But Bob's life is way harder than it needs to be. He is constantly feeling pressure, constantly feeling anxiety. He feels like he has to fight for every win and every opportunity, whereas John's life is easy, effortless, and prosperous. It's crazy, the contrast. But it didn't start that way. John was actually raised in the ghetto by a single mom. But for some reason, he got all the breaks and he got all the opportunities that made his life a success. And when I step back and I look at the difference that makes the difference for these two men, I can only find one thing. And that is prosperity network dynamics. I'll give you an example. Bob married a destructive person. She constantly creates losses for him. Losses in time, in energy, and in well-being. She's angry a lot. She's demanding a lot. She's negative. She's stubborn. To make things worse, Bob got into business with a self-centered person. His partner is not collaborative. And Bob is constantly negotiating with his partner, wasting a ton of time just trying to not get the short end of the stick. And this has turned Bob into a martyr. He's running as fast as he can to fill this black hole that's created by the people in his life. And he's exhausted. He's exhausted because he's pushing himself to create benefits for everyone in his life. And, it's like nobody's really creating benefits for him. Now, John, on the other hand, is like it's the other direction. He's married to someone who does everything she can to make sure that he feels supported, and he does everything he can to make sure that she feels supported. It's very win-win and collaborative. He's in this win-win relationship with his business partner who's like devoted to adding value to him. And the company that they built is they're surrounded by people who are very constructive, very win-win focused. Everybody's trying to make sure everyone else is winning. And I want you to know I coach both these guys. And the difference is staggering. Bob is struggling. John is enjoying success beyond his wildest dreams. And the difference is their prosperity network dynamics. So to optimize your prosperity network, you need to think in terms of economic terms. So prosperity is essentially the benefits minus the losses, right? So here's the benefits that I have minus the losses I have. There's my prosperity. And the more benefits you receive, the more prosperous you are. The more losses you incur, the less prosperous you are. And you could think of prosperity like money, success, opportunities, luck, experiences, well-being, happiness, energy, optimism, enthusiasm. Prosperity is really related to the experience that you're having in life. So if your life is easy, you're probably prosperous. And if your life is hard, you're probably not very prosperous. So your prosperity network is the main reason that you lose benefits or you gain benefits. And the wrong people in your prosperity network will stunt your growth. They'll stunt your wealth. They'll stunt your joy. It'll feel like you're running with a parachute on your back. And the right people will accelerate it. And I will tell you, right, a few years back, I was dumbstruck by how obvious this phenomenon was playing out in my own life. And I read this whimsical article called The 5 Laws of Stupidity by an Italian economist. His name is Carlo M. Coppola. And in his article, he proposed that the number of stupid people in your life was the difference between getting massive benefits or piling up the losses. And I was really influenced by this set of ideas because there were several points in my life when I felt like I was running full speed and I had a parachute tied to my back, like everything was a struggle. The people around me were winning and I was losing. And yet we were all doing the same things. The people around me were winning and I was losing, but we were doing the same stuff. And I started to realize that I was being dragged backwards by the losses that some people were creating for me in my life, which I just want you to know it was almost offensive, to be honest with you, because I thought of myself as a can-do person, as an optimist. I thought of myself as like responsible and reasonable and accountable for my own destiny. But when I put my pride aside and I started to see the correlation between the types of people in my prosperity network and how easy my life was, and the other people, how hard my life was, how many benefits I was receiving, how many losses I was incurring, it all started to make sense. Like if your life and your business feels like a grind, then your prosperity network is creating too many losses, period. And we have to optimize it. And that's what we're going to talk about. So remember, you can only do what your prosperity network allows you to do. You can only do what you're known for, what people expect of you. And here's the crazy thing. No amount of positivity will allow you to escape the losses that some people are accidentally or intentionally creating for you. So the question you got to start to ask yourself is, am I being supported, uplifted, and pushed forward towards the dream life by the people in my network, or am I being dragged backwards by the people in my life? Like, are you the main benefit creator? Meaning, are you making it happen for everybody in your life, having everyone rely on you to create benefits, or do you get lift and support and collaboration from the people around you? Like the way I like to think about it is, how many advocates, supporters, believers, and followers do I have? How many champions do you have? How many people do you have in your life who have your back and they're committed to your success? People who want you to get everything that you want in life. Because the more people you have in your life who are additive, that want you to win, who are uplifting and supportive and empowering, the faster your dreams come true. It's that simple. That is prosperity network dynamics. Now, prosperity is increased or decreased by the dynamics of your prosperity network. And I've observed that some people are accelerating into wealth and prosperity and income and success, and other people with the same skills, the same charisma, they're even taking the same actions. They're being dragged backwards into grinding and suffering and hard work. So here's the question. Do the people in my life create benefits or losses for me? Are they adding value, looking for ways to support me? Or are they dragging me backwards with their attitude, with their destructive mindset, with their dumb decisions, with their inability to take care of themselves? Like I'm always having to go rescue them. Are you taking care of everyone? Are you the most positive and productive person in your network? Because if you are, it's likely that your success is being impeded. And the shocker for me was how obvious this was once I saw it, and how oblivious most of us are to the drag of other people. And the crazy thing is, the more positive and the more upbeat and the more inspired you are, the more likely it is that you have people dragging you down in your world. Because your positivity blinds you from looking at things realistically in terms of benefits and losses. Your positivity and your optimism are likely working against you and turning you into a martyr. And I just want you to know, it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us. So let's look at the 4 quadrants of people in your prosperity network so you can start to identify who is in my network now. The first quadrant is constructive people. These are people who they create benefits for themselves and they create benefits for other people. Their presence is uplifting and beneficial. They strive to create win-win situations. And the more constructive people you have in your prosperity network, the more prosperity you have, period. Which could come in many forms, right? It's like happiness, fun, play, success, money, opportunities, experiences. So I'm going to ask you to start giving the gift to the people in your world, and we're going to talk about that. This is one way you expand your prosperity network. The second quadrant is self-serving people. And these are people who create benefits for themselves, but they create losses for you. They manipulate things to their benefit, even though it results in losses for you. And they're incredibly cunning. They create this illusion that they are your champion. You might call them shrewd or opportunistic. You might call them transactional. So the more self-serving people you have in your life, the harder it is to live the life that you want because they drag you down. They're a drag on your resources. They take your energy, your money, your opportunity, your time, and they do it without reciprocation. Now, I think we're all kind of familiar with this idea of givers and takers, right? It's pretty common. But there's something that fundamentally changed the way that I view the world and has massively accelerated my joy and my peace and my flow and my opportunities. And that is that there is another quadrant called martyrs. And these people create benefits for other people, but they create losses for themselves. They tend to place other people's needs above their own and sometimes to their own detriment. And so, while their actions might sometimes seem selfless, they may also lack self-advocacy and assertiveness, which is necessary to protect your own interests. And the more martyrs you have in your life, the more distracted you are with people who have lives that don't work. They're a drag on your time and your energy because they're always malfunctioning. And you might try and help them out, but for some reason they're hell-bent on helping others but not helping themselves. They're a distraction and they're a drag on your optimism. And the crazy thing is you actually become a martyr when you try to help self-serving people and this next group, which is called destructive people. Now, destructive people, this is a giant group of people in the world. They create losses for you and they create losses for themselves. They have an approach to life and to decision-making that leads to an overall decrease in benefits for everyone involved. They're like a black hole. They often inadvertently sabotage situations to their own detriment and to the detriment of others. And here's the nutty thing. The quality of being destructive appears to be independent of any other characteristic. Meaning, brilliant people can be destructive. Like you could be awesome at your job or a skill or a specialty or whatever and still be destructive. Anyone can have the quality of being destructive, regardless of their position, their education, or their social status. In fact, it could be your mom or your dad or your siblings or your employees, your boss, your business partner, your spouse. It could be your main source of business is destructive and you're not even paying attention. Could be a listing that you have just robbing you of time, a buyer just sucking your energy away. There are plenty of people who are in power right now who are destructive. But I want you to know that everyone, and I mean everyone, underestimates the number of destructive people in their prosperity network. And constructive people like you and I, we make the mistake of assuming that everyone is rational and reasonable, and therefore we fail to anticipate the harm that destructive people can cause. And even worse, constructive people turn themselves into martyrs. You and I, we turn ourselves into martyrs because we think that we can deal with people effectively who are destructive, but we can't. Like your optimism and your kind heart actually blows up in your face. No matter how much you try to help a destructive person, they will turn it into a loss for you and everyone involved. In fact, one destructive person in your prosperity network is enough to make everything harder than it needs to be. One destructive person in my life, for example, in my 30s and into my 40s, I was convinced that I could give this person benefits, that I could out-benefit their destructive ways, and I couldn't. I was convinced that I could use positivity and law of attraction and like mental discipline and spiritual power and kindness and compassion and all the things that we use. I was convinced I could use those things to transform the situation from a grind to joy and prosperity, and I was dead wrong. I was dead wrong. No matter how constructive I was, the losses piled up. They piled up until I created boundaries, until I prioritized win-win relationships and I started to optimize my prosperity network. The more destructive people you have in your prosperity network, the more grind your life is, period. Now, these are not judgments. This is just analyzing losses and benefits. This is your prosperity network dynamics. These are the qualities of destructive and constructive factors in your network. And right now, there are likely a few people in your prosperity network that are creating losses for you. Like self-serving people, they're very, very likely doing it deceptively. Destructive people are probably doing it right in front of your face and you keep trying to help them. You've probably been putting up with it for years. But trying to create benefits for destructive people or self-serving people turns you into a martyr. And if you're confused by how hard things are, I just want you to consider the impact of prosperity network dynamics on your life. My goal is that after today, your life is never the same again. And that what we talked about today changes everything in your life. You see it through a new lens. Now, I'd love to be on that journey with you, right? So you can make more sales, you can get more clients, you can do it without grinding. And I want you to know my free report and my new video that I have are waiting for you. This is my gift to you. Click the link so that I can help you. And I'm pretty sure that John and Trevor have put it into the chat for you, okay? But let's do this. And maybe if you're interested, maybe set an appointment so that we can talk about how we might serve you and support you through this process. Okay, so I want to move to the second one. These two will be a little zippier. And I want to help you to connect to cash. I want you to connect to opportunities, to new listings, to new sales, to people who will bring you 3, 4, 5 deals at a time. That dream life, dream scenario, new income sources. How do you do that? Well, you start filling your prosperity network with constructive people. People who create win-win situations for you. And the way you do that is by doing something called the gift. You give the gift to everyone you come in contact with. And every person that you meet could be a part of your prosperity network. And you're on the hunt for those constructive people. And guess what? They're easy to spot. Like when you give the gift to somebody who is constructive, they want to give the gift back to you. Every person you meet has the potential to help you manifest your deepest desires. You want 20 listings, 50 listings, 100 listings at a time? That's available. The more constructive people you have in your network, the faster your desires will manifest. Now, you're looking for those people who are just natural givers. When you give to them, they automatically give back. I'll give you an example. Sean wanted to figure out how to add bigger deals to his residential business. He does well. He does a lot of sales. But he's like, my God, Matthew, the grind is driving me crazy. And he set an intention to start doing much, much bigger deals. He wanted to do higher end deals and he wanted to do less of them because he wanted to start traveling more. And he started the Stress-Free Income Accelerator back in August of last year. And in September, he got his first commercial deal. I want you to listen to what Sean has to say about this. Check it out.
I've been working on this commercial piece. A building got damaged 2.5 years ago. Everybody moved out after a hurricane. And it's a commercial piece. And I'm a residential dog, right? When I got the deal, When I got the listing in October and September, it was like the dog catching the bus. I'm like, what do you do now? But I've kind of gone through it all. And we just got the deal. We put it under contract today for $24 million. We had a bidding process, 9 bids, narrowed it down. Everything, all signatures were just signed by the purchaser and the board today.
$24 million deal. Now you expand your Prosperity Network. You get deals like that by giving the gift. And the gift has 4 simple steps. You start by connecting deeply with everyone that you come in contact with, and I mean everyone. You step over no one. Everyone you meet contains the potential to change your life. So I need you to slow down. Be curious. Ask them questions. Find out what's important to them. Be in the present moment. See what they're working on in their life. And then step 3 is see if you can make a difference. Is there a way you can support or contribute or collaborate or uplift, right? Can you do that in a way that is not self-serving, right? Can you do that in a way that doesn't create losses for you? Really important. And then when you do that, when you do these 4 steps, the miracles start to happen. And you start to experience something called universal reciprocity. Like you're putting out goodwill into the world, and then all of a sudden it starts coming back. But I need you to remember, like, if you're associating with non-constructive people, destructive people essentially, it's going to create a drag and it's going to impede the miracle flow. Here's an example from my own life, okay? Kristen and I were financially strapped in 2016. We were straddled with debt. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but rest assured, there was a destructive person involved and it took us down. And it took us a couple years, really, to get ourselves back again, to create boundaries and to get this person out of our life, really. And that was a very hard time, really hard time in my life. But like you, Kristen and I are optimists, right? So we started dreaming again, and we started dreaming. We started playing the lottery, because we thought we would win per se. We just started playing the lottery because we wanted to like vision and think about like what would happen if we did win. We wanted to change our mindset to be more optimistic in this very dark time. And what you should know is we didn't win. But universal reciprocity was at play and miracles were brewing. Like no matter how hard our lives were, Kristen and I are actively giving the gift. We're connecting deeply with people. We're really seeing them. We're asking them questions. We're being curious. We're looking for ways to contribute and make a difference. And there were these 2 men in my life that I was giving the gift to separately. And I've just asked them more and more questions. And as I did that, I started to realize, oh, wow, they need each other. And with no regard for my own personal gain, and I could have easily said, like, I want a finder's fee, or I want to, I could have easily asserted myself. But I was just giving the gift. I was just connecting deeply with them and figuring out how to contribute and support. Well, I introduced them and they started a company together, which is what I thought. I thought they were going to, I was like, these 2 need each other to start this company. And to my surprise, as a token of their appreciation, they gave me a tiny piece of equity. And these are very constructive people. They wanted me to do well if they did well. And what you should know is that today that company is worth several billion dollars. So we didn't win the lottery, but we kind of did. And I call this universal reciprocity. Like you never know where that person with 20 listings is going to come from. You never know where it's going to fall into place. The wins, the miracles, and the life-changing opportunities start to flow when you work on your Prosperity Network and you give the gift. And Kristen and I were working to optimize our network. And we were giving the gift, and it created the opportunity of a lifetime. Jessica, I literally just got off the phone with Jessica today. Jack and I were every Thursday we do a open door coaching Q&A kind of conversation. And Jessica was calling agents in her market. She actually called 45 agents in her marketplace just to give the gift to them and then also to tell them about some listing that she has. And next thing you know, she gets a buyer out of the blue for a listing she'd been sitting on for months. I tell you this because stuff just starts to come. You just get the energy moving and then you enjoy the giver's high. I'll give you another example. Joe D is a veteran real estate agent in Las Vegas. He's also an EXP agent, and he was giving the gift to someone in the hotel business and contributed his creativity. He made some introductions through his network. He did it without expectations of reciprocation, but this led to one of the biggest opportunities of his life. So by giving the gift, he got invited into an opportunity that creates passive income for him. And in 2023, he had money coming in that he didn't even have to do anything for. It just started coming. So I want you to listen to what Joe has to say about his experience. This is about 18 months of Joe giving the gift and optimizing his prosperity network. Here's what he had to say about it.
I wouldn't have believed this if you told me going in that this was possible, right? And so last year, I took more time off than I've ever taken off. Shannon and I traveled 4 times out of the country. The shortest stay was 12 days. And so from a tangible standpoint, I made more money last year than I've ever made in one 12-month calendar year ever, working less. It's just, I don't know, I guess maybe that kookiness of, being magnetic and attracting what you want. Although I've always believed it, I don't think I ever really operated in that true magnetism sense. I was more like, okay, yeah, I'm magnetizing that I want this, but then I was grinding my way through it. Whereas now I'm just putting it out there and the pieces are lining up.
He's putting it out there and the pieces are lining up because he's giving the gift. I want you to know that by giving the gift, Joe connected to the network and he created market immunity because this new opportunity has nothing to do with his residential real estate business. It creates passive income totally uncorrelated to his day-to-day actions. So I want to get you into this opportunity flow, but you're going to have to let me help you. So I've got a free report for you to download and a video that's going to show you the way in which I help you to work less and make more. And I've got a guaranteed way for you to give up the grind so you can make more money and you can do it in less time. But you got to click the link. And I believe that Trevor and Jack are putting that link in the chat for us. So the last thing that I want to discuss with you today is taking life-changing risks. So if you want to connect to cash, you want to build market immunity through a prosperity network, you're going to have to take risk. So you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone and think outside of your box. The world is changing and the same stuff that you did in the past is not really working now. So when you give the gift to people in your prosperity network, they're going to give you suggestions on what might work, actually. It's really cool. And for them, it'll be super obvious, right? They'll be like, whoa, why don't you just do this, right? They're going to give you suggestions and give you resources that will accelerate your success. But their suggestions are going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to feel risky to you because what's obvious to them is life-changing to you. What's obvious to them is life-changing to you. Have you ever noticed that? Like it's what's completely obvious to you about your friend's problems, right? You're like, yo, Bobby, just do ABC and everything's going to work out, bro. Right? When you give the gift to people and they are a constructive person, they're going to reciprocate and they're going to give the gift back to you. They're going to connect deeply and figure out ways to support you. And your quantum leaps and your extraordinary jumps in prosperity will be completely obvious to them. And they'll just be like, yo, Bobby, just do ABC and everything's going to work out, bro. But you have to be ready to take that risk. I'll give you an example. Cuthberto was giving the gift to a couple in our group. So one of the things we do in our group is we give the gift to each other because everybody in our group is constructive. And boom, this couple presented him with an opportunity that changed his life forever. He went from grinding it out 6 days a week as a flipper and investor to now just living on his passive income. And if he didn't understand how to deal with his own personal relationship to risk, he would have passed on a deal of a lifetime. But listen to what Cuthberto has to say himself.
I can directly relate the success that I've had, the multiplication of wealth that I've had.
1 time, 2 times, 3 times.
At least 3 times. I think it was at the end of last year when I did the math and I had successfully acquired over $100 million worth of real estate.
Wow.
And
where were you at when you started with us?
I probably had like 30 million at that time.
Holy moly. Congratulations.
And that was, and it was all done through relationships of people that I've met in the group with you, as well as methods and taking all outside concepts and adding an enlightened high conscious twist to it, and then going with it and
giving the gift and giving the gift. See, the goal is right in front of you, but you're blind to the shortcuts. You're blind to the simple things that would just cause it to fall into place. Otherwise, it would have already happened, but it's there. And if you're a real estate agent, for example, like so many people, like what if you just landed one client who gave you 20 deals a year? Why don't you just make your life easy? Like David's a agent in our Mental Journey to Millions mastermind, and he challenged himself to figure out how to make one call and get 5 deals from it. One call, 5 deals. Well, he failed. I just want you to know. But a few weeks ago, he reported that he made one call and he got 4 deals from it. And I don't know about you, but I like that failure. So he took a risk. He called someone that he didn't feel comfortable calling, and it paid off. And if you don't ask, you don't get. So will you do me a favor and just write down a wild and crazy goal that you have, an out-of-the-box intention, something you would love to have the answers for, the process for, something that you would love to receive. Now, if you don't ask, you don't get. But let's be honest. Asking is hard. It's risky. And then taking the suggestions and doing it, that's even riskier. But rest assured, I want you to know, in the Mental Journey to Millions Mastermind, we work on attracting game-changing opportunities together. We do it all together. We remove the blocks to taking advantage of those opportunities. And then we work on accessing our own personal network as well as accessing the network of the community so that we can produce these game-changing results. We work to understand our relationship to risk. And I want to talk to you about that. Because when you understand what makes things feel risky, you can change your relationship to risk, and then you can feel secure and empowered. So I want you to go back to that wild and crazy intention that you wrote down. And looking at that intention, how would you rate your willingness to take the risks necessary to make that thing happen on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 to 10. 1 is, I don't know if I'm willing to. 10 is, I'll do anything. Now, we call that number your level of risk tolerance. And what you should know is the higher your risk tolerance, the less certainty you need to take that risk. Certainty is the key component. The lower your risk tolerance, the more certainty you need to take that risk. Certainty is the key component. In fact, the one single thing that you can optimize is your certainty. You must learn how to modify your certainty to become empowered to take more risks. So the less you know about something, the more risky it feels. And so that's why giving the gift accelerates everything. Because when you're giving the gift to people in your network, about 1 in 4 are going to want to turn around and give the gift to you. And that's when the miracles start to happen. You start to get information, you get the connections you need, you get the resources, you get the introductions, you get the ideas, you get the inspiration, the things that will move your goals forward. Everything you need is in your prosperity network. But even asking for what you want feels risky, doesn't it? So to increase your risk tolerance, you have to increase your certainty, which could be thought of as reducing your insecurity. And that's what we do in our group. We work to reduce our insecurity, massively increase our empowerment so we can take bold risks and make amazing things happen. Now, there are 2 components to increasing your certainty. You have your inner confidence, and then you have the external changes that you make in the environment. Both of those things will help with your certainty. So here's what I recommend you do to increase your inner confidence and become empowered. You need to learn about something called the drunk monkey and the 12 unconscious reflexes. Then you need to learn about the hidden motives to survive. There are 10 of those. You need to practice something called enlightened perspectives. There's a tool called recontextualization. And then you have to become a master of the worst case scenario and releasing attachments. Now, when you do that, you are mentally and emotionally free. You feel peace. You feel peace of mind. You're open. You feel like all is well in the world. You feel secure. You feel safe and stable. And that list right there represents what we work on every week in the Mental Journey to Millions. Now, in that empowered state, what you're going to do is you're going to start giving the gift. And when you give the gift to the people in your prosperity network, what are they going to do? They're going to help you to make external changes. So you're going to get some sort of education. You're going to find a new mentor. You're going to partner with people. You'll launch things, but you'll launch inside of existing structures. You'll run experiments. You'll create structure. You'll work on building up your reserves. But your opportunity set is determined by your mindset and the people that you associate with. I'll give you an example. Marshall Gibbs was literally sitting on a gold mine, but he was blind to it. And the drunk monkey was telling him that he was a loser and that he didn't deserve to live the good life without the grind. And because of that insecurity, he didn't give himself permission to go after the big dream. Can you relate? He didn't give himself permission to go after it. So to increase his risk tolerance, he had to increase his certainty, which could be thought of as reducing his insecurity. So he worked through this first list and massively increased his inner confidence. He worked on his mindset, and that made him feel empowered, safe, and secure. And he started giving the gift like crazy, working on the people, right? He was working on his prosperity network because his prosperity network created opportunities, new ways like education and mentors and structures and opportunities and learning and all of this stuff. And today, Marshall is living a life that he formerly was just dreaming about. He's working less and he's making more. Listen to what Marshall had to say about it.
Well, my success model from before was more, more, more. I was going in at 6 in the morning, coming home at 9 at night, working weekends, crying at night because I was so just dissatisfied because I didn't get that next deal, didn't get that next paycheck, didn't get this, didn't get that. Was never happy. I was always striving for the next thing. What it currently is right now, my model of success is doing exactly what I want whenever I want, no questions asked.
How many hours a week would you say you honestly work?
Somewhere between 10 to 20 hours a week.
So we've gone from 80 hours a week to 10 to 20 hours a week. What is the multiple on the income gains from the 80-hour guy to the 20-hour guy?
Probably 10 times the income.
10 times the income. He went from $200,000 in income to $1.9 million last year. Now, Marshall has built market immunity using his prosperity network, and you can do the exact same thing. Like your dream life is waiting for you. All you need is the information, right? You need the information, the connections, the people, the resources, all of that is in your prosperity network. So you want to optimize your prosperity network. Start giving the gift to fill your network full of constructive people, and then work on your risk tolerance to make sure that you'll do the things that people ask you to do. Like you can be empowered to live the good life without the grind. Your opportunity set is going to come down to the people and your mindset. Like that's it. It's just the people and your mindset. So if you are a top performing salesperson, if you want to generate more revenue, make more sales, get more clients, you can use my proven mental model to do that. I've got a free report for you. Please click the link and get yourself into that free report. Watch the video. And then if what I do makes sense, if you're looking at it and you're saying, I'd be interested in this, then stick some time on the calendar and let's talk about how we can start to implement this into your life. The things that we talked about today will change your life. And this is a small fraction of the things that I am teaching my clients, of which Jack Tsai is one of them. John Tsai was in my mastermind for several years. These are very, very successful people. And their success is enhanced by implementing the rapid enlightenment process, which is what we're talking about.